Mamacitas, voy a irme en una entrevista ahorita en... Sí. ¿Quiere un popsicle? ¿Se lo doy? Sí. Ok. Aloha, guys. Welcome to this really cool episode that we have lined up for you guys. I'm here with my friend and referral partner, Michael, that services the east side of Hawaii. And so today we're going to be touching about a very, very exciting topic for any of you that is currently wanting property, but you're currently at a different price point than most. For some, the dream of coming to Hawaii, sometimes you got a budget for this change, and for the most part, you only have a designated budget, right? So today we're going to be focusing on a successful family that was able to secure a property under $300,000 on the east side of Hawaii. Michael has been the amazing partner for this project, and the family is so stoked to have Michael by their side. Michael, let's talk about how did this family ended up purchasing in the location we're going to be sharing with the audience, and in their journey of pinpointing location and also adjusting their price point as they went along with this search.
Good. Well, one, thanks for having me, and happy Aloha Friday. I will say, like everything else, it starts with an email from you, Mally, and someone coming into the sites just talking about their plans and their goals. And we were fortunate to have connected, and the client had they had the means to make trips out here as needed.
Right.
And I do recall shortly after one of my first emails that we had that they contacted me and said, hey, we're here. We'd like to look at some properties. So I did some inquiries into those particular properties that they were just doing what everybody does and what I suggest, which is drive around the neighborhoods, find that place that you really feels like home to you. So they did that. They found some properties. I made a few phone calls to the agents, and unfortunately, some of the properties that they liked were already in escrow, meaning that the seller had accepted an offer and they were working towards a closing. So at that time, the seller just wasn't in a position to show. And the client was okay with that, which I was pleased to hear, because they had some realistic expectations moving forward. From that, a few months went by. We just did our typical MLS feed, shared with them property after property. They came out here and said, hey, Michael, we're going to be here in the next few days. We'd like to look at a couple properties, and here were some that were most interesting to us, which we did. We went and we saw, and they were lower price point, well under the $300,000 mark. And I think initially
Oh,
their budget allowed for a much higher price point. Yes, can you hear me?
yes, I can. The connection.
Yes.
No, but it's okay. So, yes, so at
I
one
think I froze
point,
there. But
yeah,
yeah, no, so we we just made a few little adjustments because they were seeing some homes that were below their budget. Not no, actually, but they realized this could work for us. So
right,
they came out and we did go take a look at one property. It needed quite a bit of work. So when you're looking at homes that are in a certain price point, just like anywhere else, know that they're going to need a little bit of just elbow grease,
right,
to make them shine and make them work for you. So they had realistic expectations, having seen that. From that meeting and looking at that house, we left it with they really liked the neighborhood. There was just something about it that felt like home. And their job, as they told me, was we want to spend the next 2 days just driving around the neighborhood and
that's
exploring.
smart.
And I said, that's fine. If you see something while you're here that you want to go take a look at, I'm a phone call away. Reach out, let me know, we'll make it happen.
Right,
From that though, they left. They went back. We didn't really talk for a couple. Oh goodness, it was about a few months probably.
right,
Uh, at which time, then they called me one day and said, we're interested in this one property that just came up. Could you go take a look at it for us, because they weren't able to be here.
right.
And I did. And when I took pictures, and from that, then they came out here to actually see the property, before we presented an offer to the seller. Um, I'd say that the neighborhood that they chose was Hawaiian Shores Recreational Estates.
Hmm.
And we may have talked about the neighborhood on another
Episode.
talk. It's actually a part of four neighborhoods, all kind of melded together in the Puna district in Pahoa. And Hawaiian Shores Recreational Estates is the one section of the neighborhood that has HOA.
Mm,
And so they're private roads. The neighborhood altogether, all the roads are county maintained roads. They're all paved. They do have mail delivery, and they do have piped water, which for some, being on catchment is just not something that they wish to take on. And so it had its draw because of that. That being said, it also is as part of the HOA, they have access to a pool, a park, and tennis courts, and quite a few other amenities. And for
right,
some, that's a big draw as well.
right.
So this particular property is close to the ocean. You can actually hear the waves crashing on the shore. No real view particular, but you just literally walking down the street, you have an amazing view of the ocean, and you're very close to. There's a local park there called Kahakai Park, a beautiful grass lawn area that you can just sit on. You can actually see the whales breaching, um, at certain times of the year. So easily accessible by foot, by car, to get to the park. So,
That sounds like a dream.
yeah.
That
Well,
sounds like a dream, you
well,
guys, right? I mean,
it was their dream. They
exactly.
settled on that, in that particular neighborhood. And I'd say there are homes in the neighborhood that are within that price range that we talked about, the $300,000 or less.
Right,
Know that some of them, most of them, are going to need a little bit of work, just because, and some of it's just due to, it could be deferred maintenance, or weather here is a little harsher, being closer to the ocean. it can affect things. I always say things rust, they mold, and you just need to stay on top of that. But these
Exactly.
folks are willing to look beyond that and see the potential and what the property could be.
Right.
Um, so,
Well, I think the biggest key point here is that if you are swimming, right, at that price point, and if that is a price point that you want to stay at, it is definitely achievable. We're going to be talking, I mean, we talked about the pros, right? We talked about, being close to the ocean, hearing it from your lanai, going to this beautiful park, and also being able to see Whales Breach. That's all gorgeous, and it sounds like paradise, and it is paradise. But the
mhm.
downsides is that we have what we call the lava zones here on the island. We live on an active volcano. So, Michael, in this subdivision, what is a lava zone that is assigned to this specific subdivision?
Yes. So Hawaiian Shores Recreational Estates is in Lava Zone 2,
Mm-hmm.
and homeowners insurance in Lava Zone 2 is a little bit higher than it would be if you were in Lava Zone 3.
Right.
You know, quotes that we've seen were ranging from maybe $3,000 to $4,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So planning accordingly from a budget's perspective is important, because that would be cash that you would need to come up with for that 1 year reserve upon purchase of a home.
Right.
That being said, in Lava Zone 2, there's a process to go to get insurance. It's through Hawaii Property Insurance Association. There are agents that can help, and we can make those referrals for folks once they do find a property, to make the connection with the right agent that can help them. There was previously a limit of $350,000 that they would insure
That
up
is
to.
correct.
And my understanding, I just received an email. Goodness, this was the 19th of January, that they said that with rising construction costs, that HIPAA recognized the need to offer higher limits to its insureds, and has filed for and received approval from the Hawaii insurance, $150,000, which is an increase from that $350,000 that we just spoke about,
Right.
which is good for folks.
Right.
I mean, with that, to say there'll be some increases in cost in general, but it's helpful for folks to insure. What does that mean for you? I'm not an insurance person, but at least it increases if you're looking at a house that is at a little bit higher price point, that the house will be fully insured, not just up to a certain limit. But if your budget's $300,000 or below, then it's really not an issue for you.
Right. Right.
But just know that in Lava Zone 2, the insurance cost will be a little bit higher.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's nice that we're like always setting up expectations to people, right? Because the dream, right, is totally achievable. Being around that price point shouldn't stop anybody from like not coming to the island. It's feasible to get a property under that budget, but know that when you're trying to get into properties that are under this price point, they may be in lava zone 1 or 2, right, Michael? And so that's the scenario with this property. But to say the
Mhm.
least, the clients are extremely stoked. Right? I mean, they're so happy, and we're so blessed to be part of everyone's journey. We get a lot of requests of people that are wanting to make Hawaii their home. And for some, just yesterday, Michael, I was talking to a person that has been following, all of our talks and social media, and for some, it's a dream, right? They put it on a dream board, and it is our job to make your dreams happen, right? Guide you to where
Mhm.
we think maybe best based on your budget, based on your lifestyle dreams, and then you kind of give us that task, and then we kind of map it out, right? In the beginning of the conversation, we Of course, if you're watching and if this is a budget that you've been exploring, we will be more than happy to send out a list of all the properties that we have in the Hawaii MLS that are under 300,000 for you guys to explore and digest. And if you have any questions on a specific subdivision, we'll be more than happy to provide that. But yeah, it is something that we handle day in and day out. And as far as Michael, you're luckily, Michael, there's way more affordable houses on your side of the island. And so, for people that are wanting to be in that Hawaii lifestyle, it is totally achievable. And sometimes it is achievable on the east side because it is more affordable.
Mhm. Yeah, and this one particular neighborhood, in the past few years, has there have been price increases,
Yes.
but at the same time, has remained affordable for folks, and that's good. Just know with it that you've got to make a little bit of a sacrifice being lava zone, but there's also, I look at it as the pluses of county maintained roads, mail delivery, and piped water. Those are, I don't know what the value would be to that, but we've had those discussions before. Some neighborhoods just don't have mail delivery. So
That's
what is
true.
that worth to you?
Right.
And,
Oh,
and for
that's
some,
such a great question.
they
That is such a
want
great
that.
question. Right. And you know what? If you come with a list of things, right, saying, you know what, I cannot live without pipe water. Like I'm not into cashment. Okay, well, we'll add it to the list and then it make things easier for your search because the Big Island, oof, is
Mhm.
big. So there's so many locations and sometimes it can be overwhelmed for people when they're searching from far
Mhm.
away. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is great advice, Michael. Um, so we talked about lava zones, we talked about higher insurance. Let's talk about lending. Let's talk about lending. How hard or difficult how hard or easy, right, it is to get a loan on the property when you're exploring property in lava zone 2.
It's, I'm finding that most lenders are providing loans, even in Lava Zone 1. So, there were some restrictions shortly after the, 2018 Kilauea eruption,
Hmm.
but that's changed. And we're seeing more and more of the lenders, they're able to provide loans, even VA loans. For example, I've seen homes sell with VA loans in Lava Zone 1 and 2. So it's definitely achievable, and we've got a long list of uh, lenders that we work with that we're happy
Right.
to connect you with, just to have that discussion. It's all part of doing a little bit of research ahead of time, just to see. You want to work with a person that you have something in common with. And so, we can provide you with a list of lenders. Reach out to them, have that conversation, and select the one that you feel is going to be the best advocate for you during the entire process.
Right. And Michael, as you were speaking about this topic, we have a couple of comments come in, and thank you guys for participating. You guys are more than welcome to add your comments. We do read them, and so I have them here on my screen. I'm going to share the first comment, and of course, this is coming from Jim. I'll add it to the broadcast just to address it, but it doesn't necessarily mean so. Jim wants to know. It says, can you touch on the potential impact of the attempted legislation to the STVR? I'm not sure how this is going on your side, Michael, but on our side, because there's a lot of STVR happening here. We deal with affordable housing, right? And this bill, my sense, and from what I've been observing, they're really trying to make it really difficult for the homeowner to rent, to do hosted vacation rental. It is going to
Mhm.
become expensive for them to do it long term. So that is mainly the conversation that is happening. There's a misconception that this is going to be touching on the condominium side of things or the homes that have an STVR permit. Right now, the focus, and they're really trying to make changes in hosted vacation rentals. Nothing is happening as of now, but just know that that's in the works. No, just be informed on the conversation. Nothing has passed, but it's always good to pay attention on what's happening not only on this island, but also on other islands. There has been changes that we're not going to go into or dive deep into this, but there has been changes happening on other islands in Honolulu, Maui, and so it's just always good to have perspective on what's happening around us, right? Michael, do you want to
Right.
share your thoughts on the well now TAR transient accommodation?
Rental.
Yes. Do you want
Yes.
to touch on
It's
that?
there for those of you that are interested. There, if you just did a general search, I know there's some YouTube videos that were put out here on the east side from some of the county council folks discussing this very fact. And I know I did have one referral that asked me, and that's exactly where I sent them. At this point, there's nothing in place. There's talk and discussion, but know that for those that are watching, as realtors, it's something that our organization is monitoring and watching very carefully. There's committees. One of them is the Government Affairs Committee, and
Right.
they are watching this, like a hawk, so that we can then present whatever the outcome may be, or at least to our clients. And it may be that nothing happens. That's just something we don't know at this point in time. But it's looking like they're wanting to make some changes, and know that it's potential that it's going to happen. When, I don't think we know.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, they're just opening up the conversation to the community, but it is something if you want to learn. And Jim, if you feel if you do have, because I do have for everybody watching, I do send out regular information on updates that are currently happening on the island. Feel free to drop in the comments or email us directly, and we'll be more than happy to add you to those updates. But as of that specific topic, there's really no clarity because there's only conversation. Nothing has passed. But because we are we as realtors, we're always informed on what's currently happening with those legislations because they touch home. We are able to provide all of the resources. So, like Michael said, we are able to provide you with a link. There's a link that they broadcasted to where the council member is talking about this bill, and she provides slides, and it's super informative. It's over an hour,
mhm.
and so it's just informational so that you can be informed, but nothing is passing. All right, so moving on. We got here Michael Rose. It says, I think we take for granted that piped water and delivered mail are always available, so thanks for reinforcing those points. That goes to your last comment, Michael, on choosing a subdivision that has those features.
Right. It's part of island life. It's not
Island life.
in every neighborhood. So if it's a concern,
Right.
so
Oh, yes.
go
So
into it with
Jim,
those expectations. I mean, go. Yes.
yes. No, no, Jim. He's saying thank you so much for the information. A lot to get. I would love to get that information to check out. Send me a private message, Jim, and I'll be more than happy to shoot that over. And also, well, I'll direct you to the website and show you where that information is as well. Well, guys, if you have any other questions in regards to how to get a property under 300,000, how to make it happen, feel free to just send us an email, connect with us. Michael, do you have any final thoughts for the audience?
Oh, I'd say, I mean, as you're starting your journey in your search, plan to come to the Big Island if you hadn't been in a while, and spend the time driving around, exploring the neighborhoods. Again, just to find the place that feels like home. It's exactly what I did when I moved here, and I, like many of the viewers, I bought sight unseen, but I flew out shortly after I made the offer for the home inspection, just to take a look and make sure that this was the right property for me. And I know what it's like, but I'm an advocate of that, and I would say it's money in the bank for you, so that you know exactly what you're getting, and where you want to be.
Right. Beautifully said, Michael. And I think, I mean, every time that we talk about relocation, we cannot stress enough the importance of you coming out to the island and exploring it on your own. You know, you just take that car, drive it around. I have a very exciting interview that I did with a gentleman that got 9 acres of land on Honoka'a. And that was exactly what he did. He came to the island, he drove around. His story is so inspiring. If you're watching this on YouTube, the interview is there. It says I moved to the island and got 9 acres. That's the title of the story. But yeah, he is living the dream. But that came with research, right?
Yeah.
With really coming into the island intentionally in the mindset of, okay, let's find the neighborhood that really speaks to us, and let's try to home in into where do I see ourselves living full term. Now, let's dive deeper onto that, because I have also clients that have done that, and for some reason they're not feeling it, right? And so sometimes, if you really want to make the Hawaii lifestyle happen, you can get a landing pad, we call it, right? And then move on to another location if you want to, right? It doesn't need to be like brick and stone. I'm going to stay here forever.
Yeah, there's no reason it has to be forever home.
Yeah.
It's what gets you here. Speaking of that, what I would encourage folks to do, and I think the folks that are buying when they came here, and a short-term rental in the neighborhood,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that I think is key. And if you have to, the nice thing about short-term vacation rentals, they are just that. You could spend 3 days in one location, 3 days in another, and explore, really explore, and have boots on the ground and walk around the neighborhood, meet the neighbors, because they're going to be your neighbors, and let them know that you're interested in this particular subdivision, and learn more about it. This one, Hawaiian Shores Rec, I encourage people, go to the community association, make introductions, let them know who you are. You're currently looking at purchasing property here. Um, the more information that you can get, the more comfortable you'll be with the entire purchase in the long run. So,
Right. And being informed, we're big advocates on whatever property you get, wherever subdivision you're in. We want for you to be as informed as possible, because, yeah, the Big Island is very diverse in climate and subdivision. Even, sometimes we can even spot funny neighbors, so it's like, we're here to serve you. I have a comment here from Don Clark, a very sweet, very, very sweet client of mine. He says, we flew in for the weekend just to be sure it was the one. And that is true. They rock started all the way. They did all the right steps, very diligent clients. And yet that's exactly what they did. They flew in just to make sure. And that's exactly what you can do back home, to when that property happens, to land on your email, right? You immediately call us, right? You get in touch with us, and then we go and perform due diligence on your behalf, go to the property, provide you with virtual tours, and then we can talk story about whether proceeding with an offer or not. But yeah, it really pays off to be diligent, and making sure that you get to the island, drive around, are familiar with the subdivisions, because when that property pops up, you're super ready. You're
exactly.
super, super
That's
ready.
that you hit the nail on the head with that one. It's like, you may not find it on that one trip when you're there, but when you do see the one, at least you're familiar enough with the area, the neighborhood, to say, okay, yes, let's go. And that's where we come in. We can, go take additional photos of the street, and make some comments on what we see. And but at least you are comfortable knowing that that is the place that you want to be.
That is right. Very sound advice, Michael. Well, guys, I very much thank you for being here, for being on this broadcast. If you need more information on any of the topics that we have discussed, we touched on getting a list for properties that are under 300,000. If you guys are shopping or above that price point, we'll be more than happy to assist. But the focus of this video is for people that are searching for that specific price point. And if you need to learn more about what's happening with TAR, we'll be more than happy to serve that information your well. Michael, do you have any final closing thoughts?
No, just I'll look forward to seeing some of these folks when they make the trip out, and we'll look forward to meeting them in person and helping them find their home.
Yes. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being part of this broadcast, and we're wishing you all the best. So for now, we say aloha.